All right, today we're going on a bit of a tour. We're diving into a dense, absolutely fascinating, and, let's be honest, pretty radical blueprint for a whole new way of living. It's called quadratic transversality, and it basically proposes a total redesign of society, starting right from the soil beneath our feet. So, let's begin. Our tour kicks off with this quote from the text. Now, laterite, by the way, is a type of soil. So, what on earth could it mean for thinking to become an extension of soil? It sounds bizarre, I know, but trust me, it is the key to unlocking this entire worldview. So let's figure it out together. Okay, so the central idea we'll be exploring is something called the Kenema mansion. And right off the bat, as you can see, this is not a literal house. Forget marble floors. The source calls it a mode of being, a totally self-sufficient, self-contained community. It's an environment where everything, the walls, the work, the way you live, is all part of a system designed to completely reshape you.
So what powers this mansion? Well, think of it like a unique operating system, the living flat metabolism. The idea here is that nothing is a separate act. Sweeping the floor, fixing a solar panel, teaching a child, it's not a to-do list. It's all part of one single, interconnected, living process that keeps the whole community humming.
So, for the first leg of our tour, we're going right to the foundations. How does living in a place like this fundamentally change a person's mind and their relationship with the actual physical world around them?
The theory draws this really sharp line in the sand between two ways of thinking. On one side, you've got what it calls university-shaped cognition. Abstract, separated into tidy subjects, where you're basically an observer looking at the world. But on the other side, the compound fosters compound-shaped cognition. This is rhythmic, practical, and totally synchronized with the environment. Your mind isn't just observing the world, it's participating in it.
And this brings us right back to that first quote about the soil. The text calls this mental shift dendrololateretic literacy, and it's a truly radical idea. It's the notion that your brain's neural pathways can literally restructure themselves to mimic the earth. You start thinking in rhythms, in cycles, and in the constant practical needs of maintenance.
This new way of thinking trickles down into everything, even daily chores. There's something called the dust liturgical protocol, which completely collapses the line between the mundane and the sacred. So sweeping isn't just cleaning anymore. It becomes a micro-rite, a small but really meaningful ritual. In this worldview, dust isn't an enemy to be wiped out. It's a participant in the life of the compound.
Okay, so we've seen how this changes the individual. Now let's zoom out a bit and see how you build a community from that. How are people educated, and how is this new society governed?
Well, education here is a form of radical unschooling. Step 1, get rid of the classroom. The compound is the classroom. Children, called paedoplites, learn by doing. The source calls it operational hand thought, things like pounding cassava or repairing solar panels. And the end goal? It's to develop a post-Westphalian mindset, a way of seeing beyond nation-states, not from books, but from pure muscle memory and daily practice.
This community also forges its own language. The process is called lexohybridization and is described as an anarcho-ontological engine. What that means is, by blending words from different languages, they believe they aren't just creating new terms to describe reality, they're actually creating new realities. The words literally build the world.
And here are a few examples so you can see what I mean. A word like somaplite. It packs in the whole complex idea of your body being shaped and inscribed by your environment. Dust liturgical. Well, that captures that blend of the sacred and the mundane we just talked about. See, these aren't just words. They're dense little packets of meaning. So how is this all governed? The model is called panoptic benevolence. It's a system of total visibility, which sounds a little intense, I know, but it's framed not as surveillance, but as care. The leader's gaze is compared to a gardener watching over their plants, making sure every single person has what they need to flourish.
Now you might be wondering, how does this avoid becoming a tyranny? And that is the crucial point. The source lays out some very clear guardrails. The leader has to be the first servant of the whole system. Visibility is reciprocal. It goes both ways. And the entire structure is supposedly built on what the text calls radical humility and genuine care.
For the final part of our tour, let's zoom out. We're going to pull the camera way, way back, because this isn't just about one isolated compound. The vision is for a global network, a real alternative to the world as we know it.
Yeah, this isn't just abstract theory. It gets very specific. The text actually proposes a Kenema-Montreal corridor.
The idea is to have a real-world network of these sovereign mansions, all connected by a shared way of life and language, operating completely outside the structures of nation-states. It's a vision for a kind of utopian network, multiplying this unique way of life across the globe. And the fuel for this whole network? It's a philosophy called Joyful Afro-Optimist-Oriented Acceleration, or JOA. Now, when you hear acceleration, you probably think faster, harder, more extraction. But here, it means something totally different. It means breathing more deeply, increasing the community's efficiency and output through joy and internal harmony.
This quote really drives the point home. In this system, joy isn't just a feeling, it's a core piece of infrastructure. It is the functional variable that makes the whole metabolism work, the thing that allows the community to not just survive, but to truly thrive and grow.
And that brings us to the end of our tour, and to what might just be the most powerful and definitely most unexpected idea in this entire framework. It all comes back to the simple act of sweeping.
The theory calls it eschatological maintenance. The end of the world, in this view, isn't some big, spectacular event in the future. It's a constant possibility, a slow decay that is held off day by day through the humble, repetitive, and necessary labor of just keeping things running.
And this single sentence captures everything, doesn't it? The cosmic and the commonplace are totally fused. Deferring the apocalypse isn't about grand gestures. It's about the daily, disciplined act of repairing a solar controller, of sweeping the dust, of maintaining the system. So our tour ends here with a simple but pretty profound question. After exploring this whole vision of new minds, new words, and new societies, we have to ask, could the most powerful act of world building not be some grand design, but the simple, humble daily act of repair?